Hey everybody, this is Julius of the Goat Movie Podcast. Regularly, we would have a new chapter of Ignore This Podcast out, chapter 14, but this past week I've been incredibly sick, and it's just not a good idea to have people over. So what I decided to do was I didn't have anyone scheduled, so I'm going to re-release an interview I did with a friend of the show. His name's S.A.G.A MC. He's a rapper, he's a really interesting cat. In the conversation we get into his past, why he started rapping, the type of music he plays, and aspirations for his career. Next week we'll have an actual conversation, a guest, a new discussion. Have a good one, stay safe, and goodbye.
I rock a bit like I walk with God. I'm kinda odd, playing against all the fucking odds. It's my job to shock a mic like a cattle prod.
Hello everyone, my name is Julius, and I am here with another interview. I know this is a GOAT movie podcast, but we gotta talk about some other stuff sometimes, you know what I mean? Can't always be the superhero, the film, the cinema talk. We gotta talk to some people, and one person I'm very excited to get to know more of, because he and I have talked before, is Mr. S.A.G.A MC. S.A.G.A, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, dude. I appreciate the shout out and the reach to come hit me up and say, hey, let's do an interview.
Mm-hmm.
Super down. You know, I do follow you guys and watch your stuff. So, you know, we've podcasted before. So I'm always down. You guys have great conversations and I'm down. And I'm thankful that you guys chose to interview me of all beings on this planet.
Of course, man. I love talking to fellow, you are a colleague in many ways, which is crazy. I never thought I'd have a colleague in anything, but here we are, man. We're fellow podcasters, and I love hearing the experience of this from someone else, someone who's completely different, because you're not just a podcaster, you are also an MC. You are a rapper, a master of ceremonies, as it were. Yes. And that was before the podcasting, right?
Yes. That podcasting was something that I've always wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Music was also something I've always wanted to do, you know, but music was the first thing that grabbed me. And, you know, I've been doing that ever since. Yeah.
So it's an interesting juxtaposition of you're using a mic in both professions, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there, what are some of the differences you've noticed as the years have gone on with the show No One Asked For and your music?
I think, so when you're on a podcast, because it's not just me, it's, you know, Daniel's the other man behind the show No One Asked For, but it's definitely a different layer, because it's like I bounce my ideas or we talk and then it sparks certain things, versus like when I'm doing music, it's the same if I have a feature, you know, or somebody that's on the record, but if it mostly is me, it's just me. So it's like I have to come up with everything in a shorter amount of time. Mm-hmm. You know, like I don't have a 3-hour song, you know, a 2-hour song. I have 3 minutes and say what I need to say in those 3 minutes, you know? So It's definitely different. Like, yeah, like you said, the mic is the similarity, but it's totally different fields, you know? And one is more on the fly versus the other one has been written and planned and, you know, mapped out, so to speak, you know?
The one being mapped out being the podcast you're talking about, or the music?
No, music more so, because, you know, I write my verse.
Right, yeah.
To something, and then I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna be spitting into the microphone, versus, yeah, we do kind of have our topics that we want to hit, but we don't know really where it's gonna go, you know? I don't know what Daniel's gonna throw in or say, you know, to counteract or agree with me. So it's not like, hey, that wasn't rehearsed. You know, like we don't do that. Yeah. We have our bullet points, you know, but it just goes where it goes.
Yeah. It's funny that that method could go for either music or podcasting, you know, just freestyling it. I don't know if you ever freestyle on any of your tracks or your records.
I don't. So I am one of those that write. I like writing the lyrics, and kudos to those who can just get in there and freestyle. My freestyling is not as dope as my writing. You know, like it used to be when I first started, my freestyling was dope, like way better, and my writing was whack. But then I guess I tilted the scale so much that my writing is where it's at for me, and my freestyle needs to be brought up, you know?
I wish I could relate to that, man, because freestyling is a pretty dope
it is, yeah.
Quality of a rapper. And I wish I knew you back then when it was like Rocky IV freestyler, you know what I'm saying?
There was definitely some battles that I had, you know. I wasn't, you know, gunning and looking for everybody to challenge, you know. I'm not a battle rapper, but I do have bars and punchlines, and you have to.
Do you examine the guy, or more, did you examine the guy and think, okay, that's going to rhyme well with this, and this metaphor is going to work with his big teeth or something? Like, is that something you did?
You have to look at every detail, every mannerism, every twitch of the eye, like everything. You have to incorporate it, because they're giving you something. You're looking for something. You're like, oh, I said that line and he got bothered. Okay, maybe he doesn't have a dad. Let's bring up, like, like I said, I'm your dad, and he got upset. So, whoa, there we go. Let's go with that.
It's actually worried for a second.
Yeah, right. He's like, who is my fucking dad? Yeah, right. So yeah, I mean, there's punchline when it comes to battling. Most of the cards are off the table. I mean, are on the table. I guess it would be.
This is real quick before we get into the actual questions, because I'm freestyling the questions, as it were.
Oh, sounds like they were planned to me, man. You're like a pro.
Did you ever, or do you still watch the epic rap battles of history?
So I did. I did. I haven't for a while, and it's not because it's one of those I actually forgot that they exist.
Yeah,
there's so much media to consume that it's like, oh, I should look at that. And then I see an Instagram post for the new Star Wars, anime style that they've come out with. And I'm like, gotta watch that tonight. And then it's like, I forget. So yeah.
Well, I'm wondering, because that's been around for like over a decade at this point, that show.
Yeah, and it's still going strong.
And it's still going pretty strong.
Yeah.
They're collaborating with all sorts of people. And I'm curious if you ever had this, and this just came to me, this passing thought as an MC who was growing up, right?
Yeah.
And this is like parallel to you growing up. Did you ever think, I want to be on that, and who you could be from like history or fiction or anything like that?
So it's crazy that you brought that up, because I had a conversation about a different form of media, right? About like making skits, and that's another thing I like doing. I like being funny, right? So, but besides that, I was telling this other person, like, it's crazy because he didn't want to be known as a YouTuber, as labeled like such, because when YouTubing first started, it was like, that's not filmmaking, people was like, that's not real, that's you just being an idiot,
that's cheap as hell.
Yeah, but now if you look at it, you're like, a lot of those people catapulted themselves into film, acting, whatever. And so to answer your question, at first I was like, nah, that's dumb, or that's beneath me. I'm not here to make funny raps, I'm not here to make you laugh. But at the same time, like, looking back and looking forward, it's like, you kind of have to hit every avenue, you try it. If it doesn't work, if you're like, oh, no, this is not really what I'm trying to do, then you get out of it, but earlier me would be opposed to it. This me, maybe it's a thought, it's not like, oh yeah, but it's like, let me think about it,
Yeah. Is there anyone specifically you think you could do
in history?
Anything.
So that's the thing. Your look, everything has to be spot on. Right. So I don't know. I got the Abraham Lincoln beard, but I don't know if I have the complexion. Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question. Like, I would have to get back to you on that, to think deeply and ponder, like, who the hell would I be in history? Like,
just comment it below, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe Che Guevara. Right.
Right. That would be good, man.
Because I did read his stuff when I was first starting music, and I was listening to a lot of his like his revolutionary stuff. And yeah, like, I didn't agree with everything, but I understood it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That beard is definitely like an influencer of like, who am I gonna be, right? Am I gonna be Shay? Am I gonna be, oh, I ain't shaving this shit. That's a nice beard.
Right.
Don't do it, man.
No. Yeah. No, his was a little, his was shorter, but I mean, maybe I could pin it back. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Right. Fidel Castro? No. That's not a good one. The Dictator. When the Dictator
that would be great. Yeah.
When the Dictator came out, they were like, yo, and I was like, I know. I can see it.
Can you do the voice?
Who's doing this? I forgot his voice. Yeah, but I
the America.
Oh, that. Yeah. No, I mean, anybody with a fucking beard is you look like this Dynasty. I'm like, I'm not white. But
Yeah.
okay, I can see it. Big beard. Anybody with a big beard.
Gandalf, that you?
Yeah.
Is that you, Gandalf? Yeah.
There was this kid that used to call me Summer Santa.
Summer Santa?
Yeah, because Santa Claus in the winter is a white beard, and he's like, "You're Summer Santa." I'm like,
Yeah.
"All right, dude, whatever."
Oh my, all right, we gotta move on from that. So the first question I have was about kind of your origin, as it were.
Mhm.
Like, what drew you to rapping? Was it a beat, a lyric, an idea?
Yeah. So the funny part is, I guess it's funny, or they can decide. But my parents were old school. Like they're a lot older, and my mom is from El Salvador, and my stepdad is white, so from
Mhm.
like Pennsylvania, and they listen to different music than I guess a lot of people were listening to at the time. Not to, I mean, they were listening to a lot of classics, you know, and a lot of my friends' families were really not, you know, so they were listening to the Rat Pack or Celia Cruz or Angel Burn Humperdinck. Like people, I'm like, I don't listen to some of them now, but they were listening to really iconic music like the Beatles, you know,
Yeah.
BB King.
Mm-hmm.
So I was listening to that, and Michael Jackson, you know, I was listening to all of that, and I thought that was all music had, you know, like I knew there was those genres. I didn't know hip hop existed when I was growing up until like, I want to say, man, the first song that I heard and I was like, whoa, what is this? Was Hello, my name is Dr. Green Thumbs from Cypress Hill.
Yeah.
And I was in second grade, and I was like, what is, like, my friend was playing it in his car, and his family were kind of hippie, and they were like, yeah, it's a hip hop. And I'm like, what is hip hop? And then didn't hear about it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then fast forward to like sixth grade, I heard Bow Down,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and
West Side
I was,
Connection.
yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like, what is this? I'm like, yo, I'll give you $1 to write me the lyrics. And some friend was like, I'll write the lyrics. Okay. He wrote like half of it, and he's like, hey man, that's all I could write. And I was just in awe of what was being said, for one. Like it was nothing like Frank Sinatra or Sammy Davis Jr. was saying, right?
Yeah.
And then another jump to my eighth grade when I was listening to freaking, my friend's like, you really don't listen to hip hop? I'm like, no. Here, borrow this. And it was the DMX It's Dark and Hell Is Hot album.
Mm-hmm.
And I played it, and I was my mind was blown. I was like, this is hip hop. I couldn't stop. Like DMX is the one that brought me into this realm of loving hip hop music, and even finding out that it was its own entity. And I was just hooked. Like I couldn't listen to that tape back and forth, you know, that CD. My mom found it, and that was the worst thing because she's Catholic, and cussing and all that. The lyrical content on that was not holy, you know, even though he prayed, and that was my angle at the end. I'm like, no, but he prays at the end. He's, you know, he's like, he has these demons and he's fighting for himself, and he just wants, you know, to be saved. And she's like, no. And yeah, it was the worst. I came home, and it was just, I hear like, what? She's like, what is this music? I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, that's what cemented it for me. And after that, I never turned back. Like I didn't stop listening to the other stuff, but on the forefront was hip hop music, and the fact that it's not like any other genre. Like it's a competition in and of itself, but like there's a lot. I'm not gonna knock other genres that there's no pain in other people's music, but like pop music is more like relatable, but like surface level almost.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. Like that's club music right there for sure.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
and there's other musics, right? But like hip hop, I felt, you know, it comes from like this place of like pain and suffering, and like, hey, we are going to show you that we exist as a whole. This is our element, and give it to you whether you give a fuck or not, you know. And a lot of the groups that didn't care or push the boundaries are from hip hop music, you know, and a lot has been taken from hip hop music. So to me, I was like, there was no fucks given from this music, like, and I was like, I was on board, like, please sign me up. and then I developed, you know, a want to bring out my own demons and pain and write it out, and that's kind of where that all started, you know.
Yeah, it's funny because my second question was, growing up, who was the artist for you? And it pretty much, DMX has got to take it.
I have a top 10, and people's top 10s always vary, you know, and it's always based on different things, you know. People, I think, you know, they put their list as like who is the greats, right? But for me, it's a little more subjective to where it's who influenced me into making or wanting to keep listening to this music. And DMX is on there, Eminem is on there, Jay-Z, Method Man, what is it? Most Def is on there.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I have my list. It's not always like on the top of my head, but Jay-Z is on there. Who else? Nas.
Is Ghostface on there?
No, Andre 3000 is though.
All right, that kind of hurt a little bit, but
and you know who else is not on my list? And people are going to be like, they might shit on me in the comments, but Biggie's not on my top 10.
I've heard that before. Heard that before.
And it's not a knock to Biggie. It's just I wasn't listening to Biggie when I was starting this journey. And of course I've gone back and I've listened to Biggie, you know, but like Big Pun is on there. You know?
Big L?
Yeah. No, Big L's not on there. And again, it's not because Big L's like, I'm like, Big L's whack or none of that.
Right.
Big L wasn't on my radar at that time. You know, I learned about him and that was my thing. So I had to, everyone's like, oh, this is the new music. I'm like, that's great, but I got to go back. A lot of people don't go back. You know, some people start there and they keep going, but I started late. So I'm like, dude, I got to go back and listen to the Big Daddy Kanes, you know, and all these other groups. And, Tribe, KRS One. Yeah, it's like
both of them, those groups. Oh my God, yeah.
But it was like talk about starting from zero. I was starting from like negative, you know, or like I was at zero, but I had to go back to the negatives first and then make my way forward. And there's so many groups, so many artists, you know, that are talented. So I just narrowed it down to the ones who I felt gave me that inspiration or catapulted me to want to be better, or those are the ones that just were in the driving force, you know. And DMX definitely was one, if not the most, you know. Yeah. I mean, that was the gateway for me. You know, they talk about what's the gateway drug, you know. To me, for hip hop music was Rough Rider anthem. And, you know, a lot of people are like, they know that song because it's so popular, right? But that is one of my favorites of his, because once I heard that, I was like, I just blew my mind, dude. It's like speechless. I was like listening to it, just like looking around, like, what the hell? This is so amazing. Like just overload. I would listen to the album every night before I went to sleep. And
oh, that's crazy. How you gonna sleep with energy like that? You know?
Yeah. The first time I fell asleep so the first time I heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'll hear this later. Put it on again later. I heard the Rough Riders anthem. And at the end, he starts shooting, you know, at the end of the song. And it was all full blast, not knowing that was what was coming. And I just hear, I was like, oh shit, what the fuck? It was just blasting in my ear. I was like, oh shit, you know, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's intense. This is intense. I love it. Let's go.
Where'd you grow up?
In Alhambra, California.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Back then, was that a likely thing, or was it just so spontaneous?
It was the loudness. Alhambra is a safe place. You can look for places you shouldn't be at in every place, you know, every community. Alhambra it's safe. There's shit that goes on, you know.
Sure.
That doesn't make the news for obvious reasons, right? They want to keep it nice. But I mean, when I was in high school, there was fights all the time, gang wars, even though the police station was right across the street. Like I saw my fair share of things that I was like, oh shit, that's crazy, you know. But but at the same time, it wasn't like I was ducking stray bullets and you know. I don't write about that either. Like I'm like, oh, I had to run from the cops because they were trying to shoot down. Not like, you know. Have I seen shit like that? I've seen some crazy shit in other neighborhoods that I visited you know, throughout my life, and I do touch up on stuff like that. But Alhambra, I'm not gonna be like, you know where I'm from? I'm hard, son. I'm from Alhambra. It's like,
don't they have a Korean barbecue there, bro?
Now, I mean, they got some dirt for sure, but you know, I'm not. If someone was like, "What's the hardest city?" my hand would definitely be down, and
that would be so awesome,
right? Nah, not they slap my hand down. Yeah, exactly. No, but you know, and I've always been kind of keen on that kind of stuff. Like I've been humble in that respect. Like when I write my music, it's stuff that I know about, have lived through, you know, or know somebody very close in that environment or that situation. I'm not, unless I'm trying to present a picture that I am actively saying this is not my story, this is not something that has happened to me. Sure. I keep it 100 no matter what. Like I don't, and I think that also is because of the artists that I listen to, that they prided themselves on making great records that were truthful, you know?
Yeah.
To where like I feel like I owe them that, to keep that going, you know, lyricism and realness, authenticity. Like I could write about some fake shit all day, but I don't feel it the same. You know?
It's not going to hit as hard.
No, I don't like being that artist. I don't want to be that artist where it's like, hey, dude, you talked about killing 7 people. Yeah, in Alhambra, you say? Where about? You know, like that's not my. I don't like fakeness like that, so I try to keep it. You know.
I mean, everyone you mentioned in terms of guys you were listening to, whether it be Tribe,
Lauryn Hill's on there too.
Lauryn Hill, great example.
Yeah.
So different because all of them are being honest in their own ways. Like Tribe, hippies in their own way back when they were coming, like with the native tongues and all that.
Yeah.
DMX was obviously the dog, and it's funny because I watched an interview once with KRS-One where he met up with DMX on a red carpet. You may have seen it. Where
I have not seen that one.
Okay,
that's new to me.
He was saying just to the because DMX was right there. He's like, the 90s, man, it was quiet, and then a dog came out.
Yeah,
it's like, man, it's kind of it,
and he was different, and that's the thing. Like if I can think of a hardcore artist who was gangster, sentimental, had all the emotions and checked every box, I would say it was DMX, because I've never heard of a story or of an article or something that came out where DMX wasn't authentic,
right?
You know, where someone was like, this is fact that he's actually lying about this, or he didn't, you know, like
no,
DMX lived a crazy life, you know, and he was trying to be better every day. You know, on top of that, like, so it's crazy. Yeah.
But did you ever see him on the Dr. Phil?
I did see him on Dr. Phil. Yeah.
That was pretty funny, just seeing him in a completely different.
But that was the thing. Like he was like a chameleon. He can do like every role. You know, everything. He there's a Christmas song, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's fire. If you never heard it, you got to hear it.
Everyone got to hear that, man.
It's amazing.
It's funny that we're talking about environment, because for plenty of hip hop artists, rap was a response to the environment they grew up in. And I'm curious, for you, was hip hop a response to anything significant in your upbringing?
Yeah. So for me, hip hop was, like for so many artists, it was their environment and their voice. Right. And so for me, hip hop was my voice too. Cause as a kid, I had like depression and I had anxiety and I have ADD, you know, so it was like there was a lot of things I didn't know how, you know, my dad died when I was 4, a lot of stuff to process,
compartmentalizing.
Yeah, there you go, that word, right? And there was a lot of things that, you know, I'm first generation, so there was a lot of things that my mom she saw that was different, she handled it different and didn't know how to help me with certain things, you know. So for me, music was that voice of like, hey, I have something to say and I feel a certain way and I have to be heard, you know. And that's why DMX spoke to me a lot, because he had those battles within himself. And he you know, and I grew up Catholic, so God was a thing in my family, and you know, you pray, but sometimes the answer isn't there, so to speak, right? Like in your face. So, you know, you write about it, you talk about it, you know, and if no one's listening, the mic is always listening. You know?
Oh, that's nice. I like that. Have you used that in a track?
It's written somewhere. There's different things. The crazy part is I don't know where it is. I have a lot of rhyme books and a lot of loose papers and all that. I can't tell you where it is, but I can tell you what it's hard. I can look in my mind and I can find it. I can find it basically. It's not an organ in any organization, you know, but if I think of a line, I'm like, I know I have that and I know what comes before it and I can find it, you know. It'll take me a while to search, but once I start seeing the pages, I'm like, oh, okay, it's going to be on this paper.
That's a good line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, hip hop isn't just one thing. Like any
No.
genre, it contains subgenres. There's
Mhm.
gangster rap, there's
Mhm.
conscious rap. You got your backpack rappers out
Yeah.
there. In your music, do you aim for a specific type, or do you just try to do you?
I don't aim for a specific type. I
Mhm,
understand what boxes I kind of fill.
mhm,
Conscious is the majority of what I feel occupy, right? Lyricism is on
mhm.
there, you know, conscious lyricism. Backpack kind of floats in there. I kind of left those kind of behind, but not as much, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, gangster rap, no. Boom bap definitely
Mhm.
is there. You know, I like the hard gritty beats and spitting some hard shit, you know. Um, a horrorcore line every now and then, you know. Shout out to Jedi Mind, you know, like
Yeah.
Jedi Mind, yeah. Vinny Paz and you know, self-titled, that they're you know, Army of the Pharaohs. But yeah, it's conscious. I like to be conscious of what I am saying, you know.
Mhm.
So majority is that, I would say, you know.
I
There,
get.
there's party and bullshit, you know.
Yeah,
Shout
for
out to
sure.
Biggie, there's party and bullshit lines, and you know, but yeah.
I definitely get that conscious feel when listening to music because I've been listening to you for the past couple days to get ready for this,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I love a lot of what you do
Okay,
in
thank you.
terms of the podcasting and the music.
Mhm.
And I mean, I gotta know outside of hip hop itself, what inspires your music? Because there are artists like MF Doom with the comic book flavor, Wu Tang had the kung fu vibe, Tribe
Mhm.
had jazz utilized within their beats and all that.
Yeah.
What is your muse?
My muse is, I can find a muse in a lot of different things, but I feel like mine is kind of where I come from, in the sense that the voiceless is what I try to reach or try to be a voice for. You know, like I know I'm not from this place or from that background, you know, but I understand a lot of the elements. You know, like
Mhm.
I'm not one to say like, oh, I know everybody's pain, you
Right.
know, let me speak for you. No, 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 no. I'm not doing that, you know. I'm not trying to feel self-righteous and trying to be a voice to the voiceless, you know, like as cliche as it, right, it is. But at the same time, I understand like, hey, there's people that are going through this, and who am I to not talk about it? You know, who am I not to not bring it up to other people who are like, oh shit, I thought everything was fine and you know, dandy, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
My muse is more a place of like people with pain, you know,
Mhm.
or just not being able to feel like they exist in the way they want to exist, you know. um I've lived that way where it's, I didn't speak up, I didn't know how to be this person, or you know, be comfortable with, you know, being me.
Yeah.
um and so yeah, I try to do that, but a lot of it's self-reflection. I feel like my muse sometimes is myself, my older self, you know, and trying to be able to make peace with a lot of things that have happened, or whatever, you know, and be like, oh, I know people have gone through this too. Let me bring it up, you know. I just try to be a positive, but the irony is I write sad a lot of the times. Like even on a happy, if
Yeah.
I hear a happy instrumental, I'll write sad to it, not happy.
Yeah.
It's kind of, yeah, like I'm the type that listens to sad music to feel better. I don't
Yeah.
listen, you know, happy music makes me sad.
You're trying to get some catharsis a little bit.
Again, I don't know. It's yeah, like I guess it's kind of like the misery loves company, you know.
Yeah.
For me, like my self meditation or medication playlist
Yeah.
is like sad songs, like shit that it's like, yeah, that sucks, you know. That's not a happy song. Why is that trying to make you feel better? But just knowing that someone else is going through some shit kind of makes me feel like, okay, like I can overcome my shit, you know.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because I was thinking recently about like what is hope itself.
Mhm.
And it's different for everyone, right? For me, it is relatability.
Yeah,
Relatability in of itself is
yeah,
hope,
mhm,
and
yeah.
that's I completely get that in your music.
And my name Saga, you know, my alias Saga MC is an acronym for survival against great animosity.
Mhm.
So you know, like there's always hate, there's always dislike, you know, towards some person,
Yeah.
and I felt that, you know, we all have. So when I was coming up with a name, I came up with like a handful, and I was like, that was good, that one's cool. And then I was like, what's a saga? You know, and a saga is a story told over and over from way back when. And I was like, that's what I want to be in music, like something that continues to keep going. And I was like, but I can't just leave it at that. You know, I'm an MC. Okay, so S.A.G.A MC. But and then I broke it down. I'm like, you know, every letter, and yeah, so you survive the bitterness and the hatred and the dislike of everything. You know, you have to. So yeah.
Was the name originated back when you started? Because I looked through your channel. First track was about 5 years ago.
There's older ones, yeah, but I might have pulled those off. But yeah, 5 years ago is probably like the beginning of the momentum, you know.
Of S.A.G.A MC himself, or like just that's the first YouTube thing you got?
I think that's the first YouTube. No, because S.A.G.A MC has been around. I've been around. For a while. Yeah, and I mean, I've been around, and it was just kind of not finding the right time to step out into that world. But I think it just kind of happened where I felt like, okay, I really want to do this. I really feel that I can't. I mean, I can do that. You know, every day, you know, you sometimes are like, man, it's just hard. It's not easy, you know. And again, I'm not at this place where I'm like, I can sit back and kick my feet, and even when you're at the top, you have to work even harder, right? But yeah, my problem is I haven't put enough content out, and I need to really push the content, you know, 'cause especially in this time,
yeah,
it's all about consuming content, you know, good or bad. They just want to see it, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was my starting push, because I was in this group, Second and Grand, and there's a whole like not Spotify, there's a whole SoundCloud page that I have, and there's a couple EPs on there, and that group just didn't work. Me and my buddy were like, we went different directions, but music was still my thing. And so I was like, all right, I'm a solo act, boom, time to do my own thing, you know.
Back then with that group, was it similar to what you're doing now, or did you kind of feel a bit held back, and now you're kind of blossoming?
I didn't feel held back, besides my own self holding me back. You know, like I felt really good in the sense that my partner, he went by Dear Fiction as the producer and Watermouth as the artist. So he produced, and I was like, yo, you can freestyle some good shit. Get on the track. He's like, nah, that's not really what I want to do. I'm like, just get on. And he got on, and he could spit. So it made me be better and get better. And so what we went back and forth, but my style was always trying to be conscious with heavy bars. And so I want to say that was like the practice run of finding out where I really wanted to take it. And then when I became my solo self, like my solo act, I was able to be like, oh, I don't have to fit. I can do anything now. You know, I wasn't limited there, but then when I became just me, I saw that, oh, there's more possibilities. You know, there's so much more styles I could do and genres within and with, you know, out of it. So it didn't hold me back. It just, I think once the group broke up, it just opened my eyes up to more, you know, and wanting to do different things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And shout out to Dear Fiction, which, you know, Noah Say, this is actually his brand. He went into clothing and skating and music and culminating all that together into his brand called Project 35. So I got to give a shout out to him. So he's still doing music stuff, music related, you know, film stuff and all that. So yeah, that became his passion.
And you worked with Project 35 for Keeping It 100.
I did. I was like, yo, I want you to shoot a video. I had like a little bit of an idea, and then he's like, we're gonna do it black and white. We're gonna do this. And I was like, sounds good to me. So there's definitely more. Yeah, definitely more in the works with me and him. But yeah, he definitely helped me feel comfortable with certain things that or pushed me to be comfortable with things that in music that I was just like, I don't know if I could do that, you know. And then boom, you know, and he's always still giving me the real truth, you know, about my music. Like I'll hit him up like, hey, did you hear that last thing? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, so you didn't like it? He's like, that was cool, you know. He's like, you could do this better, or this sound, you know. And I'm like, you're whack. And he's like, you don't want yes men in your corner. And I'm like, no, right, it's for sure true, you know. I'm like, you're still whack, but it's true, you know. And it's true. Like I know I can go to him and he'll honestly be like, I liked it, I didn't like it, that was cool, that was not. Like he'll give me his honest opinion, which is great, you know. Sometimes it don't feel great, but it's great that it's real, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't break anything out. Y'all still got projects lined up for each other.
Yeah, and It's just, it's like you put something out, and there was a Spec the kid who produces and raps. He put out something that he had said that when you put out something, it'll never be pure anymore.
Mm.
Because once you put it out, now it's getting judged, whether good or bad. It's no longer what you had made it as, and it's true, because I as an artist, you make something, whatever genre of art you're trying to create, you make something, and to you it means something, right? If you're that conscious of a person and you're invested in the art, right?
Yeah.
You make something, you put it out, hoping that people see the exact same thing you see, right? And it doesn't work that way. People see whatever the hell they want to see. Good, bad, forgettable, whatever. But you're literally at the mercy, and you're like, hey, hold this. And they're like, oh,
Yeah.
or they're like, oh, I love it,
Mm-hmm.
And so it's never going to be the same as when you heard it for the first time by yourself, and you're like, this is great. This is exactly what I wanted to make. Hey, everybody listen. No one gave a shit. Oh, fuck.
Oh,
I can't take it back now,
Dude,
I can't restore it.
I have been there so many times. As you know, I want to make films and stuff, write and all that.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, writing is like, why you made it. There was something so personal to writing it and then filming it. It was a great process and everything. It's out there. It's like, oh no, no one watched. Oh shit.
Yeah.
But it can't deter you from what you want to do still.
No, and it can't, because, and I think that's the misconception, and that's us as humans, as well as where we are in the society, where we're always looking for that instant gratification.
Yeah.
Like we put something out, we're like, dude, I think this is amazing.
Yeah.
Let's get everybody on board. And they're like, I didn't see it. I didn't care to see it. Right. I don't want to see it. Or I saw it and it's okay. And you're like, oh, I'm just going to crawl back into the hole that I came from, and it's disheartening, because you put your all into it. And that's why I know you, in the sense that I know you're passionate about what you're trying to put out.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just doing it just like, for me, oh my gosh, like, would I want to make money off of music? Of course. Would I love to just be like, hey, I don't have to work a 9 to 5. Music is what I do and I get paid for it. Of course. But I don't do it going out like, all right, I'm making this song to make money. That's the goal. That's hopefully the byproduct, but I want to make something that someone's like, hey, that moved me, or that was hard, or that shit was dope, like something, Yeah. And it doesn't always hit that mark, but yeah, like you said, you have to keep going, because if you stop, that's it for you. That's it. Like, if you yell out, hey, and no one hears you, you're like, if you were dying, right? And you said out, hey, oh, no one heard me. Guess that's it.
That's it.
No, like if you were trying to survive, you'd be like, hey, until somebody finally would hear you, or at least die trying, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the I feel like the mentality of the artist. You're like, I just got to keep yelling for this help, of which is you looking at my shit, and watch and liking it, or at least giving some attention to it,
Well, I got to tell you, listening to the music yesterday and the day before, I was bopping to it. I was moved by a lot of it. I love that you come from this probably wasn't always part of your music because you've been doing it for so long, but there's a fatherly quality to it. It feels like you have something you want to leave behind. I got that from Lullaby for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me list off some of what you got here, because everyone watching this shit slaps. All right. We got Bat to the Face, produced by some guy.
Yeah.
We got Wishes, which is the Xmas album.
Yeah. Or it's just a song. It's just like a single. Yeah.
See, I only listened to Wishes, and I assumed it was part of a whole deal.
No.
That's the next holiday for you, bro.
Right. Yeah.
Produced by Dren Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
We got Keeping It 100, which is collaborated with by Project 35.
Yeah, but produced by Dren Bryant. Yeah.
Also Dren Bryant.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
And that was I remember watching that video on your channel where it's you constantly moving, black and white.
Yeah, we tried to do it was all one take. We wanted to keep it like that old school, just it's dark and gritty. It turned out a little darker than we wanted because the light was going down, but we're like, let's roll this out. I didn't want to keep doing like 60 takes over the next couple of weeks. So
Well, it came off great, and I know you love the long takes, as it were,
Yeah,
in film.
yeah,
So that's it. That completely inspired.
yes,
There's Quarantine Dreamin', which
yeah,
of course last year. That's more
yes,
than fitting. You know
yeah.
what I mean? What can you tell the listeners about some of the music you've been making?
So I try to not put myself in the box of time, because you don't want to date your music,
Right.
but at the same time you want it to be relevant, and so it's you're trying to balance that, like, oh, I want people to know that this came out this time, but
Mhm.
I don't want people in 5 years to be like, I don't need to listen to that because that's hella old, you know. So
Yeah.
Quarantine Dreaming was a specific event, that we'll hopefully we'll finally get out of, and hopefully it won't happen again, but
Be cool within our lifetimes. I mean, shit.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that was definitely a time where everyone was confused, and I was confused because I had just lost my day job. So I was like, well, shit, like what am I doing? I'm in quarantine, and like I want to do more music, and I have the ability now because I don't have a job, but that's also scary, and COVID is scary, and the rioting, and like
Yeah.
the movement and everything that should be on everyone's radar, so it was basically a timepiece of that, like, things were getting underway, and enough is enough, for police brutality. What is this quarantining shit, and COVID is crazy, like
Hmm.
it was a mix of all those emotions, and trying to put it in a song, in Quarantine Dreaming,
Yeah.
on the play of California Dreaming,
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, man. Especially here, dude.
yeah,
Oh my god. But what you brought up, that you didn't want the music to be dated at a
yeah.
certain point. Did it come to you doing it? Did it come to you thinking, I'm kind of documenting my experience during
Yeah,
this?
that one was I couldn't get around that aspect, nor was I trying to. So I try to be conscious of, like, oh, I don't want to do certain things or say certain things because it might come off as that's older, like I want things to be classics,
Right.
at some point, and it to be like, oh, this is still relevant, this is still good, but Quarantine Dreamer was like, yeah, that was what it was, what it
Yeah.
is, so I couldn't be like, oh, this is hopefully in 10 years, 2 years, we're like, oh man, remember that shit? Oh, there's a song about it. Yeah, that touched on it. Yeah.
Some
But
people be like that right now.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Right. But like songs like Lullaby,
Hmm.
that one was, my son was barely born,
Hmm.
um, or about to be born. I have to go back I don't even know what time that was. But I think he was born, and I was just watching him, and it was just my lullaby in terms, or not doing a typical lullaby. The lullaby was more telling him stuff that he'll learn in the future, or it'll be brought to his attention in the future, not nice things necessarily, but things on like, hey, this life can be this way, there's a line that I say, trust police, and I have a little pause and say, and it goes, we'll carry a gun,
Mm.
and oftentimes they will shoot if ever you try and run, and I'm not saying be compliant or defiant, son, but you just have to you have to understand the choice, and pick which is the smartest one, right? And that's the thing, because I don't know, what will happen, or what he'll get into, or where he'll be,
Hmm.
and shit like that happens, like we hear about it all the time, so for me to be like, hey, just let them beat your ass if that happens,
Yeah.
can't say that, or just run. I'm just letting you know, like, you know try to pick the best possible, outcome for that, or best possible choice, and that was just one thing. It's like, not to say that that's what he's going to be dealing with on a daily or at all, but that's something that happens, you know
Yeah.
people make dumb choices over money, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that I just kind of crammed in there, and at the very end I was telling him, love your mom, treat women great, love yourself is the most important, because if you don't love yourself, it's hard to love others,
Yeah.
we go through this world thinking and looking for others to love us, others to, oh, I love that person, oh, why, oh, because they have what I want. Okay, but when you get to certain places, like Anthony Bourdain, RIP, traveling around eating food and getting money, you would think that's the perfect life. and obviously he was not happy, and there was, you know, things there. So it's like money doesn't give you all that. So to be happy with yourself, or at least know yourself, to know what drives you, and that's very important, you know. So that's kind of messages I want to leave to my kid. Yeah, he might not get it now, you know, he's only 4, but hopefully one day he'll be like, oh shit, my dad spit some truth, you know.
Yeah, that's something. I'm not even related to you. I've never seen your son or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I while listening to Lullaby, I was excited by the prospects and the idea of your son listening to that when he got older. You know what I mean? That's something crazy that I've never really felt that with anything before, you know, in actual excitement of like, this kid's gonna grow up and his dad left him something that, how many dads do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my bread and butter. So I figured, hey, you know, I might not be good at this or that, but I feel I'm good at this. So let me document this and leave that for you, you know? Yeah. And I get what you're saying. Like, the fatherly role has definitely come out. And I think another muse is kids, in the sense that we grow up, and J. Cole, you know, with his album KOD, he touched on this really good. It's like, we tell each other that we go when we grow old, and we're just putting all these bags in the back, right? And then you're 30 or whatever, however old you are, and you're like, damn, I have a lot of baggage, and no one's ever told you how to get rid of it. And you just keep on piling more bags, you know. And to me, it's like, it's scary to think of myself then and the things I should have done, or if someone had told me, do this, do that, or be better at this, or remember, be conscious of that, where I would be now, right? And and I look at today's youth, you know, and I'm just like, yeah, damn, there's a lot of stuff that they have that I didn't have, and no one's telling them how to use it correctly, or hey, be careful of this, or, you know, like, so seeing the youth and where their future may be, like, that does play a role in my mind when I create music. And I try to put little nuggets of wisdom and be like, hey, I'm not trying to be an old head, you know, or trying to be, hey, don't do this, but just be cognizant of that, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that them having more accessibility to stuff that you were, or even me, we didn't have growing up, do you think that will equate to them having more baggage in the future?
I mean, if someone gives you more and doesn't tell you how to use it correctly, or at least gives you an instruction manual, there's a potential for you to fuck up and use it not how it was intended. Or social media in itself is not bad. I just, like, my thing is, I don't think social media isn't bad to me. I think there's just a lot of bad people on social media. You know what I'm saying? And when you know, when you're young and you're just like, that guy's God right there, and he's probably not the best person, you know, just spewing out hateful shit or whatever, and then you grow into that mold, you know. You know, like, I made a comment to somebody and they're like, what? I had said hip hop raised me, and somebody took a lot of offense to that. Someone that didn't even know, like, my background, and I didn't mean it in the sense that, like, my parents weren't there for me and this and that.
Sure, yeah.
But they didn't teach me a lot of the world as I learned it through music. Music opened my eyes and showed me a lot of stuff that my mom was very overprotective, and so she didn't tell me a lot of stuff, and I found out through music, and I was like, oh shit. And then I applied, you know, certain things, or stayed away from certain things in my life because of music teaching me things, you know. And that's what I meant when I said that out. Like, hip hop raised me. My mom was there and she loved me, but I mean, there was a disconnect between me and my parents, you know. My stepdad was older. My mom was older, third world country. There was already different dynamics. So music definitely played a very big part in my upbringing, you know?
Yeah, and you said that it introduced you to a lot of what the world has to offer. It wasn't just negativity, for sure.
No.
Also the beauty of the world.
Yeah, it showed me a lot of culture, a lot of it was hand in hand.
Sure.
You know, I don't want to say, like, oh my gosh, like, it was the world's a scary place and I learned it all. Like, there's definitely scary places everywhere.
Of course.
And I learned how to navigate certain things because of music, but I also got to see more beauty because of music, because my parents were so, like, one way. you know. And so when I saw music and hearing these people speak of their different cultures or different places or different ideologies, I was like, oh shit, like this is way bigger than what I've heard for the like my growing up, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Yeah, music
music
is,
itself.
yeah, exactly, yeah, and the sounds and where
Yeah.
they come from, and yeah, like, and that was, I mean, yeah, it's music, I feel, is the greatest thing man has ever created. There's
I'd have to
nothing,
agree.
right? There's nothing else I can think of that man has ever created. That I was, you know, medicine is all great and that's, you know, awesome, but music is like, without music, I don't know, I don't know what life would be like.
I mean, it'd probably be more violent. It'd probably be more cynical. I mean, music in of itself is
Yeah,
a dimension. It's
yeah,
another space. It's another
yeah.
layer of thought,
Hmm.
you know?
And sometimes that's the easiest way to get through to a person,
Hmm.
is through a rhythmic sound versus talking or yelling, you know. And even yelling and talking in music sometimes is easier to get to you versus someone just saying it with no rhythm, no beat, no nothing.
Hmm.
So yeah, like I couldn't possibly think of a world without music. Like,
Oh no, I don't want to be there, dude.
no, I don't either. Like, imagine they outlaw music.
Oh no, that's
Jeez.
don't even go
I don't,
there.
yeah,
That
scary,
sounds like
scary.
some Ray Bradbury type shit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
I'm not down.
you know, you going on that soliloquy, let me put it
Mhm.
that way, of about
Nice.
music and it being just part of our culture. The first thing I thought of was Close Encounters of the Third
Mhm.
Kind, where they communicate with the
Yeah, that was
extraterrestrials
a great
through
movie. Yeah.
the notes of music and
Mhm.
everything. I'm getting goosebumps, dude.
Nice. Yeah.
Honestly. One track that really stood out to me was I Don't Know. Can
Mhm.
you tell me a bit about what behind that?
So that EP is the second of another EP that's on SoundCloud
Hmm.
called Still Waiting. I mean, not Still Waiting. That one's called Still Waiting, and the one before it is While They're Waiting.
Okay.
So it's supposed to be in a three-part. So While They're Waiting is like, while they're waiting for me to make my album, here's some music, right? And Still Waiting is that feeling of like, man, like people who know me, myself also, are still waiting for me to make it, you know, or make this this project that I've had in my head, right? And
Yeah.
so there's another one called It's About Time, and that will be my actual album that comes out. You know, I'm still working on certain songs for that, but yeah. So I Don't Know is it was a place where my kid was coming into the world, and I just didn't know where I was going with music and life, and it was all scary, and I felt everything kind of just closing in, and in the beginning of that record I have all these people record their thoughts, you know. I'm like, hey, just
Yeah.
say this or say something about, you know, what do you think about my music or blah blah. So the last person on that actually is my friend from Project 35. He's like, yeah, I don't know what's going on with his music, I'm still waiting. And it, you know,
Mm.
and it fades in. I was like, dude, that's perfect, you know. I'm like, that's the title of my thing. He's like, I know. I'm like, oh, you did it on purpose. Awesome, you know, for the win. But it just all fit, all these voices that I hear, and I'm just like, it just shuts off when I'm in the booth, and I'm just, I don't know where I'm going, you know. I don't know where I'm supposed to be, and we all feel that, you know, like,
Hmm.
you know, you're just kind of moving, and you're like, I don't know if this is where the direction I'm supposed to be headed, you know. And it's scary,
Yeah.
you
That's
know.
a true saga right there.
Yeah.
The three-parter. That is the
Yes.
saga right
Hmm.
there.
Yeah. And so I have songs that I've created like a year ago, a couple of years ago, that are supposed to be on that the last arc, you know. But
On It's About Time.
yeah,
Hmm.
but it's not. I don't know when It's About Time is going to come out. I can't give a date, you know.
When will it be time, Saga?
Yeah, and so I'm putting singles out in between and other projects and stuff like that. But I feel like I'll just know when it's like, okay, it's time, like, to put all of these songs and these other ones I've created and create new ones all into this package to fit that third part, you know.
Hmm.
So it's my music is all building to that, you know.
I'm really looking forward to that, dude. That sounds epic.
Right? Yeah, I'm trying. That's why, and that's the thing. I can't rush that. You
Hmm.
can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna put it on now, you know.
Yeah.
So
No. They didn't rush Michelangelo when he was putting the Sistine Chapel together.
it did not. No, They probably tried though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually a great Monty Python sketch about that.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that where it was it's
I
like
haven't seen that, but Monty Python is awesome.
that
Yeah.
they are the
Yeah.
original sketch troupe,
Yeah,
and there was
they're
one
funny.
where he met up with the Pope. He's like,
Mhm.
"What? There are 3 Christs, a kangaroo. There's chicken wings on the table. What the hell? On the
Yeah.
Last Supper, like."
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine being an artist in that time. I mean, it's hard to be an artist now, but
Yeah.
you know, like then you I mean, it happens now, you know, you pass away and then people finally give you your flowers, you know. But to like to be there then where people are like, who are you? What are you doing? What is this? I don't know any of this. Like just finish whatever you're supposed to be doing. And then decades later, people are like, oh my God, like they had this genius amongst them, and how many people knew of their genius, their brilliance, you know?
That's
So
usually how it works when
yeah,
it
it
comes
still
to
works today like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, which is sad, you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I mean, I hope I get my flowers, you know. I hope I get a flower, you know,
Yeah.
before, you know, it's all said and done, you know. That would
Yeah.
definitely be good.
I mean, a recent example is, and I gotta shout him out, Norm
Mhm.
Macdonald
Oh
recently
man.
passing away, dude. And
Yeah.
that dude was brilliant.
Yeah. Underrated, super underrated.
Yeah.
I remember watching him on like what is it? Just not random things, but just his little cameos, like in Sam
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler movies,
Yeah.
or the Drew Carey show,
Mm-hmm.
you know, at SNL, right? And just being like, this guy is awkwardly funny.
Yeah.
You know, like his style was just his own, and I could tell a lot of people didn't. At least some of my friends didn't get it or didn't care for it. But I was
Mhm.
like, it's so strung beautifully, you know, the way it's like, where are we going on this journey that I didn't even know I wanted to go on? I want to get off, but I don't, because I want to see where it ends. And then, you know, and the punchline not necessarily is always the best part of it. It's everything in the journey.
Yeah.
You know, and then he just kind of wraps it up here. But
Yeah.
or sometimes it's like all this and he does all this to say this, which had nothing to do with that. But yeah, definitely a master at his craft, you know. And that's actually
Yeah.
something I also want to get into, is comedy and stand up and do comedy, you know. But that's a different vein of artistry and another place to put yourself out there to get, you know, persecuted. Like,
Yeah.
I put my music out and I see the streams or lack thereof, and I know people are fucking with it or not. That's my guide, right? And if I do, you know, when I do shows, I can hear the crowd response and all that. But for comedy, it's like then and there, boom. You have to get everybody, you know. And even Norm had mentioned that, like, you have to get everybody to laugh at the same time. Like, it's not like, oh, that was funny, and somebody like 10 minutes later, oh, dude, that's hilarious, I just got it. Like, everyone has to be on board, or it doesn't work, you know. Like, and it's hard, you know.
It seems like he and this isn't a Norm Macdonald podcast, obviously, but
No.
last
it's
thing
not?
I just want to say, everyone watch his stuff on when he was on Conan.
Yeah.
On
Dude,
the View is hilarious when he's on. Like,
I don't think I saw him on The View.
oh
I'll have
my
to check
God.
that out.
But
dude, every time he was on Conan, it was pretty funny.
Dude, it's so funny him being on The View. He's like, yeah, I didn't know that. Everyone didn't know that Bill Clinton was a killer. Yeah.
It's a pretty good impression, though, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Pretty good.
I'll work on it. I'll work on
That's
it.
good.
So when it comes to your music, for me, the way it comes off is you're kind of like a middleman of the golden 90s and what modern hip hop is, you know?
Oh, good.
You know,
I like that.
you mentioned the boom bap stuff.
Yes.
You like that? I love that.
Mhm.
I mean, Return of the Boom Bap. I mean, come on, let's do it now.
Yeah.
But there's some like techniques of that. You go really fast with your flow and everything.
Yeah.
Anyone who likes both will like your music, I think. What do you think of the state of modern hip hop?
You know, I was very like, I'm since I like more old school stuff, you know, mumble rap and stuff like that doesn't always catch my attention, you know. There's definitely great artists that aren't doing complex rhyming and boom bap, and they're just doing the new stuff, and that's fine, you know. Like, I listen to everything. I listen to melodic death metal, believe it or not. I listen to trance still, It's all there in the catalog, right? But I just wish that people would understand that hip hop is not just one thing anymore. Like there's a lot of subgenres, you know. So like when they have the awards, they're like, oh, best rap album, and I'm like, oh, that's not entirely true to me. Like that shouldn't have won for everything, you know. Like that's not everything. You know, they should like I think it was Joy Badass that said like there should be more categories at the awards. Let it be pop rap. Let there be, you know, dark rap or, you know, horrorcore rap or just gangster rap, you know?
Yeah,
And I think there is like it's all under the same umbrella, but it's not the same. You know, I can't be like mumble rap. There are mumble rap artists that I'm like, okay, I like that song. I can fuck with that. Or there's just like chill pop rap shit. I'm like, it's good. You know, it's not, am I going to be like, this is the greatest lyricist? No. But do I like their music? Yes. You know, and there's a something for everybody. So the state of hip hop is, it depends on how you look at it. Is there a lot of true MCs and lyricists? There's a good amount still there. You know, is lyricism the forefront of hip hop now? No. And I feel like it hasn't been. Sometimes it's making it surge back up there to be like, yo, check the lyrics, you know? But it's not always the case, you know. Money and talking about money and all that, you know, glamour and glitz always wins out. But yeah, like for me a true artist in hip hop is one that can do multiple things. Have the club record, great. Have some lyrics, some consciousness in there, great. You know, maybe some speed rap, maybe some poetry in there, you know, club bangers, like like boom bap, like check more than one box. But there's artists that just do one box, and hey, that's what you want to do, then be true to yourself. But be true to yourself is number one, and then try to create not just one type, you know. Like so I think that's where I think the state is, and that's where I feel artists should kind of look to be at, you know.
I agree. I mean, whenever there's an umbrella of something, everything's going to be forced together. Like Migos is going to be compared to Tyler the Creator just because they're under the same overall umbrella, you know.
And that's a good person you brought up, because Tyler has evolved from where he first started. And I wasn't a fan of Tyler to begin with. You know, I was like, okay, cool, you know, there was certain stuff that I was like, that's cool, that's all right, that's dope. But as a whole, I wasn't like, damn, Tyler the Creator, you know. But as he grew, and you can tell, like his latest projects, I was just like, dude, this fool's on another level now. Like you know, it's not that he didn't get music then, but he definitely gets the music that I was thinking of, you know. And now he's you know, doing those things, and it's great, obviously, to see artists evolve and do different things. And Mos Def was one to try different, you know, types of styles and not play it safe, you know. Outkast, definitely, you know. So yeah, like those are the artists that I look up to. And I mean, dang, if we had another Outkast album, I mean, Big Boy's still doing music, but to get Andre doing consistently more music would be amazing.
Isn't he trying to be an actor? Because I remember he was in that Hendrix film.
He's done a lot of different, if not cameos or short roles in movies, and I like him in movies too. Mos Def, same thing. Mos Def, was he in 8 Mile?
Andre was the friend of Eminem in 8 Mile, I believe.
No,
that wasn't Andre.
That's Mekhi Phifer.
Oh, really? I
thought dang, that's a totally different. No. Dang, your world has changed.
I thought it was, because I thought it was like, well, we got the collab of Outkast and him.
Mekhi Phifer, future Mekhi Phifer.
Ah, shit. I'm gonna be canceled, son.
Right? Shit. They're gonna be like, this dude doesn't know what he's talking about.
Sam Jackson's gonna show up. We're not looking like.
Yeah,
I know, man. I know.
Yeah, no, but he's made movies. Yeah, and that's another thing. So I feel hip hop is synonymous with movies and film. It's music, right? And that's another thing I've always wanted to be into and get into is writing, as well as being in film and stuff like that, you know, and comedy. And so my music necessarily doesn't always sound like, there's songs that I try to be funny on, but I try to be serious more on the music. But I do want to be in other veins of entertainment and you know, artistry. So yeah, I hope to venture out into those things. The podcast is another venture that I've, you know, got into. So yeah, it's all synonymous, you know. It's like, who's gonna tell me what I can and can't do, you know?
Yeah,
they can try.
That's not where someone is remembered from. Oh yeah, that guy. I remember he did whatever I said.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's why, man. What is it? Brad Pitt in Troy. That's the biggest man. I wouldn't want to fight him, and that's why no one will remember your name.
And then he takes him out like a rope.
That dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Just jumped.
Yeah. But it's true though. Like you don't take the leap, then you don't get from point A to point B. You just stay looking around at all the other people jumping, and not everybody makes it. That's the risk, you know. But if the end is that you're gonna die, that's the end. Right? We already know the end of the story, you know. So why not fill the pages with some shit that you're like, yeah, you did what? You tried this? You succeeded at that? That's sick. Versus like, oh man, you have a lot of blank pages here, and then you died. That's kind of shitty. It's a shitty story. You gonna be a keyboard warrior, or are you going out like Achilles? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Shit. Shout out to Troy, bro. Yeah. Brad Pitt. Yeah, Brad Pitt. Also love the collaborations in terms of your music videos. Minimal, I think, is a great example. What's the process been like for you being put into the spotlight? Because you just brought up you want to be in film and everything. So what's it like being the subject? So it's cool because I know the character, so to speak, but it's also different because you have to move in certain frames a certain way, not necessarily like they're telling you like walk like this or anything like that, but there's certain shots that are asked, or like, hey, this would look better if this happened, right? And so sometimes you're in that battle where it's like, well, I wrote this specifically to look like this, but in the time frame allowed and in terms of beat and cut, it's not going to work that way, so you have to improvise and adapt and change certain things that I wrote, and there's other things that I'm like, no, I wrote this in mind because I envisioned this as a music video. When I write a lot of my songs, I see key lines, if not whole paragraph, whole couple bars, 6 bars, 10 bars as pieces of a video, like not necessarily a music video, but as I can vividly see myself saying it, doing it, and I can see like, damn, this would be cool if it's shot like this or shot like that, or if this was the look, and and one in particular, which I haven't shot yet, and I'm kind of waiting. I'm trying not to wait too long, but Bat to the Face, there's certain shots that when I was writing it, I was like, this has to be done this way, or it's not going to feel good to me. As like I'll get it and I'll be like, yeah, it's cool, I like it, but you should have saw what was in my head. Yeah. And so so that I think that's the part, is to adapt certain lyrics and parts to the screen and make it work like I want it to, and as whoever the director is to see that through. I'm really excited for Bat to the Face. That was the first one I listened to. Recently. That's my latest one. I like that one. I like that one also. Yeah. And definitely a different beat choice. The producer, some guy, he makes great. Yeah. So best name ever. Right. He makes a different style of beat that's not necessarily like just hip hop or only a hip hop element. He has different like, sounds in there, and it's great. And I've liked his stuff. I met him through networking, and I was like, hey, we're going to do a song together, one day. And he's like, oh, cool. Yeah, just hit me up. And so I hit him up and I was like, yo, give me a song. And he's like, and for when it comes to producers, I tend to not, I tell him what my wheelhouse is in terms of like BPM, but I'm like, you give me the beat or let me pick from whatever. And whatever speaks to me, I'll do it, and if I need tweaking in some places and you can do that, great. But I don't like to say I want a beat like this, because for me, I want to not write something I've already written. So if you can give me something I haven't heard or didn't structure, helps me to come up with something new, And so he was like, here, how about this? And that's like 160 BPMs. And I was like, shit, I can't rap that fast, but I can speed it up on some parts. I can do different things with it. And I was like, man, this slaps like a bat to the face, dude. And I was like, oh, I think that's going to be the name of the song. That's going to be the hook. And he liked it, and, it worked. So, yeah. That's dope, man. I like that. Bat to the face. I was in the coffee shop listening to that shit, dude. Like, nice. This is everything, Yeah. So if I can get the visuals to coincide as best as I can with what I envision, it'll be a hard video. Sick. I can't wait. Now, since we talked about expansion,
let us actually talk about your podcasting journey. You were on, or you are on the
I got
show.
canceled. What? You're telling me here? This is how you doing me? Oh man.
I hate to break it to you,
All right.
man.
So Daniel couldn't tell you, but you're fired.
You're kind of sorry.
You're out.
The show no one asked for. So what do you guys cover on this podcast of yours?
So we have a segment that's called the oh my god, the scuffle. I'm like, what am I? The scuffle, where we talk about more combat sports and sports in general, mostly combat sports. So that's a segment that we like to touch upon, is just that, the current and the new and the old. But for the show no one asked for, the main is a lot of music, a lot of film, comics, dad life, things we see on a day-to-day. It's kind of like a no holds barred, like whatever the hell we feel like bringing up, and sometimes it's rambling, but it's a conversation about whatever, about life, with two people who have experienced different things in their life and also enjoy a lot of the same things. So I feel it makes for good conversation. And me and him are very strong-minded in the sense that we agree on a lot of things, but if there's stuff we don't agree with, and that's fine, that's great. But we also understand each other, like, oh, I understand your point. I don't agree with that, but I understand it. Like we can agree to disagree, and I think me and him, it started with me and him having conversations just, through work, and we would bust up laughing and just like, dude, man, we gotta like put this on, and I feel like we've gone up, we've had our ups and downs, with life, and COVID definitely changed our rhythm. Yeah. But I feel like we're kind of getting into our head and keeping each other accountable, as well as starting to get into our groove of like how we want to present it, and just let it be and grow and flow, Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on the show as a guest. Angel, my co-host, has been as well. Daniel used to be on our channel. Mm-hmm. So explain the transition from podcast listener to podcaster for you.
So when I would record a lot of music, and I told some of my friends, I was like, hey, dude, let's just record us talking, and we would do that. And it'd be like hours and hours of I have it. And it just never went anywhere because I just wanted to get a feel for it, and I was like, but it's like, man, I want to put this on a screen, and give the viewers who know me and those who don't know me a chance to know me better, or also let me be myself outside of hip hop, because I'm not going to say I'm not myself in hip hop. I am, I write me, and I'm me, but doing podcasts or acting or other stuff gives you different elements that I don't always put in my music, and podcasting allows me to be that, like that nerdy, funny, just, it's not about bars and lyrics. It's about like, some shitty, funny story, or, some comics that we all, we love, and movies that I saw was like, oh my God, it's dumb funny or great, or, stuff I don't have time to fit into a 3-minute song, or doesn't fit the 3-minute song. I have an hour to be like, yo, let me just chop it up and act a fool.
Yeah, it's the extended cut for sure, man. Yeah, I've been listening to a lot. Since day one, I've been listening to the show no one asked for.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Of course, I brought up to both of you guys that one that I listen to quite often, actually, is the one where we talk about police brutality and everything. It was last year. Can't believe it's been over a year at this point since that came out. But I remember that, at that time, you brought up everything closing in, and that's how that time felt. When riots happening, the brutality, Floyd and all that, and seeing your guys' discussion, it felt like it's just regular people trying to figure it out. Yeah. And that's refreshing, like a professional would be great, for everything. Can you just fix everything, please? But hearing like two guys just talk about what's going on in the world, it helped me through it.
Oh, nice.
To be quite honest, it was like, wow, these guys are complete jujitsu for the cops. Let's do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. What were there any recordings you did, whether it be this year, last year, whenever, that really stuck out to you? Like you remember it and you're gonna for a while?
You know, it's crazy because there's some that we just didn't put out
Oh, okay.
because not because it didn't fit, or it was, some of it was time sensitive and we just didn't have, we weren't on the ball, right? And it was like, okay, putting this out now is just, it doesn't make sense, you know. But we have, yeah, there's some that I'm like, those are gems, and we might put them out as like the lost tapes no one asked for, you know. We've flirted around with that. But I think the ones that stand out are the ones where we don't have topic necessarily, like it's not current event, it's more so like, let's just talk about what we want to talk. We always talk about what we want to talk about, but we try to hit current event, you know. But sometimes we're like, hey, like this happened in my day, like let's bring that up, you know. And we just roll with it, you know. And I can't think of any specifically, right? But I just know those are the ones where we're done, we're like, that was a good one.
Hmm.
That was a good one, you know. And of course we love talking about MMA, so
Oh
MMA,
yeah.
the MMA ones are always good. But yeah, like I do like going, you know, toe to toe, or him being my counterpart when it comes to this, you know, because there's stuff that he knows, there's stuff that I know that he don't, you know. And it just, we just throw it at the wall and let it stick there and slide down, you know.
I've been there firsthand when this has
Yeah,
happened.
yes, you have, yes. A
Well,
heated debate that you didn't want to be in. You're like, what the fuck is this? Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought this was about
yeah, exactly. Yeah, sometimes we lose focus, but you know.
it's funny hearing both of y'all like, okay, so would you rather have super hearing or super sight?
Super side man.
Gotta
Yeah,
see.
yeah, I could see him, but he, yeah. Anyway, if
He'll be
you're Daniel, when you're watching this, you're talking about us meeting at a specific location. No, I'm not going to meet at a specific location. I'm going to get you before we get to the location. You can hear the bullet cut, whatever. You're gone. You're gone.
well, we need a rematch of that
Yeah.
discussion. But um, so with both rap and podcasting, the goal in my from what I know in my experience is communication,
Yeah.
right? Is music a more effective way of elucidating ideas than regular conversation for you, or is it about the same?
Like in terms of how I feel about it.
Yeah, like whatever idea you're trying to
Yeah.
get through,
Yeah. I
what do you think
feel,
is more effective?
I would say music,
Hmm.
because a lot, I mean, the attention span is short and it's just getting shorter for people, right? And you know, and there's times I fall under this and I'm like, they didn't catch me, boom. And it's like, oh, that was a really good article, or blah blah. Oh shit, okay, well, I should go back, right? But I think music already kind of gets you in a vibe. Like you have to, you're listening to music for a reason already.
Hmm.
To hear something new or something that's going to make you feel something. But when it comes to like a podcast or communication with just words and no instrumentals or anything, you have to already know what's going to be said in order to stick around. Podcast, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, right? And if you're going in like, hey, I'm just going to follow this guy and start listening, you can be turned off real fast, because it's like, oh, but the next episode, had you just waited one more episode, that would have been everything you wanted to hear, you know. But for music, you're going in being like, I'm listening to hip hop music, so I wanted that type of vibe. Podcasts is, it's the vibe is talking about key points, right? But it's not the same in my opinion, because it's just sometimes to get to that point, like this, like what I am saying right now, it takes a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like, and music is like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Give me what I want in 3 minutes, 30 seconds. And as a hip hop artist, I know that. So it's like, dude, I gotta say what I need to say in 4 bars quick, so that the rest of the bars you want to hear, you know?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember you bringing up in one of the podcasts. It was very, I think, very valuable piece of advice is that you have, there's something along the lines of, you have, the audience only has 30 seconds. You know what I mean? To get hooked on something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that really, I'm sure you take that into account when it comes to your music as well.
Yes. And
Yeah.
and I do that also. I do it knowing, right, that yeah, like they have to, I have to hit them with something quick so that they stay. But there's also songs that I have that I'm like, hey man, if you were reluctant and you didn't stay, then you're missing out on this, you know. and it's
Yeah.
like a 4-minute song or whatever, and it's 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and it's not till the end that you're like, oh shit, like damn, I should have really stuck around for that one, you
Yeah.
know. And hey, it's not for you, then it wasn't meant for you, you know. So yeah, there's times where I play around to be like, yo, I gotta hit him with the best shit quick, boom. And other times I'm like, it's a slow marinade, man. You wait till the end, the payoff will be great, or not, depending. But I'm trying to get you there, not right here. Not trying to get you with this little dazzle, you know?
Yeah, not a TikTok or nothing. It's,
No.
it's a nice stew, you know?
Yeah.
Put it together.
And there's songs that you just gotta be like, hey, in and out, boom, see ya.
Yep.
No hook, no nothing. It just spit some bars and some funny shit, whatever.
I
But
did
yeah.
want to recommend that you should your genre is dad rap.
His dad rap.
Dad rap.
Oh jeez. It's not gonna sell any tickets.
Just
Yeah.
get the dad bod going, the
Oh.
dad jokes going. I know you want to be a comedian, bro. Let's go.
Jeez. That's the end of S.A.G.A MC and the start of the funny me, huh?
S.A.G.A McCheese, bro.
Right? Yeah, dude. S.A.G.A McGee. Yeah, and that's the thing, and I think that's the hard part, to separate both, but keep it off. I mean, obviously I want to be authentic, but I don't also want someone to be like, dude was on this podcast making fart jokes and he wants me to take him serious in hip hop. Like, it's hard to be like, I'm like, if you want to hear lyricism and consciousness and spit over a dope beat, listen to my rap, but I also do this on the side, like I want to wear multiple hats, and not be confined to just one hat or beanie. But
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah.
What person is just one thing?
Yeah, but I feel like you get judged a lot more nowadays. Like if you're trying to do this and that and this and that, it's like, well, yeah, man, I'm trying to do it all.
Yeah, it's the human experience. Shit.
Yeah.
Just more exposure.
Yeah, I don't want a little of I don't want a lot of a little. I want a little of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that was evidence from Dilated People that said that. But yeah.
Well, as someone who wants to create content, I do also I do it thinking I'm leaving something behind. And what would you want someone in the future to take away from your work?
That there were people that saw the world or themselves for what they were and tried to be the best them, as well as try to create the best that they could, and not try and do it in a way that they knew it was a slow burn. Like corners weren't trying to be cut, for the sake of just rushing it. If a corner could be cut, great, but keeping the passion and what the drive there, like I want the future to be like, damn, like there's people that were really trying to get it, trying to think of the future then, and that's kind of living in the past there's no future in it is the saying, right? And so it's like, yeah, you take the past with you, but you're trying to use those to make something new, and I would hope that people, my son, any listener that hears me are like, now he's trying to make something better than how he found it is also, like I'm trying to keep hip hop going forward, not trying to bring it down, Yeah. So art in art as a whole, trying to push it forward as best as I can, that's kind of where I want the future people to be like, oh damn, this guy tried to really move the pendulum,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, is that it's not over until it's over. So you have as much time as your life allows it to do that. So that's a nice thing to end on. we are a bit over time. I know I said it's an hour, so I don't even know, maybe it's an hour and a half, but I did want to ask a couple quick questions if you got the time.
I do.
Okay, all right, so these are very quick questions. Is hip hop truly a young man's game? Thoughts on older generations of artists still out there?
Hip hop, I feel, used to be a young man's game.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think it's now just about the music. Yeah, there's more of a push for newer things, but there's a lot of artists that are 3 decades old, and they're still kicking kicking ass and just making dope ass music that old generation, new generation all like gravitate towards. So not an old man's game, not a young man's game. No, it's not a young man's sport.
Okay. You know? Who is a modern artist that is going against the grain right now, do you think?
Against the grain? There are several, but I would have to say, what is it? Oh my God, Run the Jewels is one, you know. Against the grain. Oh, like Kendrick, J. Cole, you know, like they're in a place where I think they see it for what it is and they see it for what it's not. And they're really just trying to navigate those extremes and just, you know, going up the middle. And there's a lot of artists, you know, those are the notable ones that I think, you know, but there's definitely a lot of artists where I'm just like, dude, yeah, I love hearing their new shit, you know.
Would you include Lupe Fiasco in that?
Yeah, I haven't listened to any new Lupe, so I'm not actually even sure where new Lupe is. You know, I know he had some beef with Royce, and rightfully so. I understood his point, but he definitely was against the grain. Yes, doing things that, yeah. I mean, to me, against the grain is just not doing the same shit. You know, you saw that thing of T-Pain where he's spazzing out and talking crazy. He's like, I've already heard that shit. Do something new, you know. And he would know because he did this type of music, a certain type, and he's like, yeah, they're already these type of artists. Don't come at me with like, hey, listen to this same shit you've been listening to with a different name. Like, no, like we want to go somewhere new. You know, Kanye does push the boundaries, you know, but he does say a lot of other stuff that I'm like, man, like just stick to the music. But
yeah,
you know,
I was gonna bring up Childish Gambino. Would you consider him?
Childish? He's
at one point maybe.
I think he's going against the grain in the sense that he's hitting all three: acting, music, comedy, and doing them skillfully, super skillfully. You know, like to a point where it's like that's kind of where I want to be. Where it's like it's just you hear Childish Gambino and it's just you think Community, you think Atlanta, you think Han Solo, and you think
Spider-Man.
Yeah, and you think of his music, and it's just one, you know, one piece of it's like a piece of just the same puzzle, you know. So yeah, definitely as an artist, he's hitting it the right way. Yeah.
Well, is there any specific artist out there that is a dream collab for you?
And a dream collab. You know,
this can be producer, writer, studio.
Illmind producer, definitely one thing. That's one. Well, I met him, you know, and he's dope. He's phenomenal. He's getting his flowers finally, but he's one. A lot of my collabs are people who aren't probably as mainstream as you would think, you know. Like I'm trying to think, like, Mos Def would be like, you know, would be awesome. A J. Cole would be awesome. Kendrick. There's a lot of art, like, and that's the thing. So I don't look in terms of, I'm not looking at that door yet. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to head down and grind, and hopefully someone be like, hey, look up. And I'm like, oh shit, yes, please, let's collab, you know. But I'm the type that works with everybody. Like I'm not up here and thinking like, oh, you only have like one view. No, thank you. To me, it's about the music. So if somebody's down to collaborate and I like their music or what they bring, fucking let's do it. You know, I'm like that.
Yeah. Kind of related. Any instrumentals that stick out to you that when you listen, you gotta just rap over it?
Oof. I mean, anything that's boom bap. And see, that's the thing. Trap music, I like trap music beats. You know, like I just want more consciousness on the trap music. But there's like production by Kanye. I really do. That's the thing. So for me, to get me to like an instrumental, melody is key. Melody. Like if I can hear the melody before I hear any beat, any kick, anything, I already know if I like it or not. Like I hear a melody, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. You know, like to me, you can't take it to a negative place for me. It's few and far between that I've heard somebody like, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be dope, and I'm like, ooh, why would you do that? You know, but yes, I like hard beats and like dark beats.
So some
Yeah.
like maybe a Wu-Tang type deal
Yeah, for sure.
early on.
For sure. But yeah, like it doesn't matter what kind of beat, because I've rapped over some techno beats and I'm like, yeah, this is dope. Like, it gives me the challenge, you know. I don't like to just be in this like, oh, just boom bap, that's it. Throw some crazy shit in there. Throw some cowbell. Let's get it popping. Yeah.
A cowbell.
Yeah. Yeah.
A dream venue for you.
Oh. That's a really good one. I mean, Madison Square would be crazy.
Ooh,
but
shit.
that's like legendary right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a legendary. Damn. Oh, that's. You know what's crazy? I would want to perform at the San Francisco Stadium.
Oh, all right. That's
because
cool.
I'm a Niner fan, and to do a stadium alone is crazy. But to do a stadium of a team that you're like, that's my team, you know, I'd be fucking down. So,
that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, but see, like again, that's like I guess I'm the type. Venues are cool, but venues are it's about the people. You know what I'm saying? So like, if I can get to any venue that's huge, I'm down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not so much that I have to be at this place, but again, Madison Square. I mean, that's a iconic place for anybody. You know?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, but yeah.
Yeah. First rap album you bought.
First rap album I bought. Ooh, yeah, that's gonna be a crazy one. See, because like DMX, I didn't buy that one first. I had that one first, but I didn't buy that one first. And I think the first rap album that I bought, I think it was like it might have been like a Hieroglyphics album.
Ooh, yeah. Man. My friend Jacob, if he's watching that right now, he fucks with that, dude.
Yeah. And that was the thing. So I got into music, right, and listened to all of these acts, right? And then I was feeling like it was very commercialized, and I wanted to break away from that and I found underground hip hop and all this other shit, and it just blew my mind even further. And then I was listening to like Atmosphere and just all these crazy acts that I was like, I didn't even know existed. Jedi Mind Tricks, you know, Jedi Mind Tricks, typical cats. I don't know if anyone knows them, but yeah, there's a lot. Swollen Members, a lot of different albums. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe I think it was the Hieroglyphics. I can't remember which one, but yeah. Damn. I got to listen to those albums.
Hip hop is vintage, man.
Yeah.
Any crazy hip hop experiences, whether it be at a show, a store?
So there was an experience that I was doing an open mic, you know, and I was there performing some stuff that was new to me, and I wanted to, you know, test it out as well as just get it out, right? And I went to this venue, and I didn't know that it was like gay and lesbian night, which is, you know, I'm totally fine, but I didn't know. So my music choices were not necessarily of something that they were all there for. Like they were all talking about their rights and you know, to be themselves, and that was great. And I had some songs that were touching on be who you want to be and strife, you know, and that kind of stuff, right? Just more, I think it would have just worked a lot better. And when I went there and I'm trying to hit them with some hardcore hip hop stuff and, you know, it just didn't work. And they were just all looking at me like,
just looking at you like,
yeah. They're like, well, for one, this guy seems pretty straight. Okay. Which is fine, you know, but they're like, but the lyrics and stuff he's talking about doesn't apply to me at all. This is not why I came on this night. And I was just doing my thing, and I was like, this is not working out. Just rapping my ass off. You don't care about these lyrics. You don't care about this shit, you know. And at the end, they were just like, they didn't know whether to clap or like they weren't booing, but they didn't know whether to clap or to just like, they were confused as I was. I was confused, and terms of like, do I get off? Do I give him another? Like, I was just like, all right, thank you. Like, I was very, I was like, very, I bombed, not so much because they didn't like the music. It was not what they were expecting. You know, it wasn't the topics. The topic choice wasn't what they wanted. And so you live and you learn. I was like, oh, okay. I knew instantly. I was like, damn, I should have really remembered those other songs. Oh well. Here we go. And I could have left, but I was like, nah, let's see if this kills. And it didn't. But it's okay. Lesson learned. You have to read the room. You got to read your crowd. Yeah.
Yep. Lewis Black said it the best. You take the gig, you take the responsibility of said gig.
True. Very true. Yeah. Very true. Yeah. And the responsibility was to just get the fuck off that stage as fast as possible. Let them carry on with the stuff they wanted to hear. And so I mean, it is what it is.
Well, that's, I think, a perfect quick question to end off on. S.A.G.A, thank you so much for coming on, man. I had a great time talking to you.
Same, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Is there anywhere that the people can find you, your music, the channel, all of that?
S.A.G.A.MC.com is probably the best place, or my Instagram handle, which is S.A.G.A. EMCEE. It's that across the board. I try to, S.A.G.A MC. A lot of people think it's MC.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but it's the actual spelling of, you're supposed to spell it's EMCEE is the actual spelling of MC. But
is it really?
Yeah, it's the MC. The Master of Ceremonies is MC, but the spelling, it should be EMCEE.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So it's just the short as microphone checker MC. Yeah. So S.A.G.A. EMCEE on Instagram, Twitter.com. Yeah.
Your Spotify.
Spotify S.A.G.A MC. Yeah. Just type in S.A.G.A MC everywhere. I'll come up somewhere. Yeah.
You can also find them at the show no one asked for on YouTube and Spotify and iTunes also.
Yes, we are. I believe we're on iTunes. Yeah.
They everywhere, guys. They're everywhere.
Everywhere you don't want us.
Everywhere you didn't ask them to be.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to more places soon. So yeah. No, I definitely appreciate it.
Of course.
And awesome conversation with you, and your line of questioning and the way you present is awesome. It's great. So
oh man, thank you so much.
And you keep doing your thing. And I've heard good things about your writing.
We got some things to talk about, man.
Yeah, and definitely I do want to talk to you about writing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I think you're a brilliant mind already, and you have nothing but the ceiling to crash through to get through to the next place. So
man, it's right there though. It's right there.
Well, then that means you got to set higher goals.
I know, right?
But no, Daniel was very, very geeked out about talking about you and your projects, and he was just like, dude, he's gonna start some big shit. And I was like, oh, can't wait.
Oh man, I can't wait to talk to you off camera right now. Yeah, let's we'll wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, get out. You don't gotta go home, but you gotta get the fuck out.
You gotta get the fuck you and have a nice day. That's how it is. Right. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Julius. Do the regular YouTube stuff of liking, subscribing, and all that. I'm not gonna tell you how to do your job. Just don't tell me how to do mine. Peace out, everyone. Stay safe, and goodbye.
Peace.